Well, today is February 14th, Valentine's Day, and our own Chris Mitchell is about to share a love story very dear to his heart. It's about a couple whose letters to each other kept their love alive when the winds of war swept over the world in the 1940s.
That couple was my parents. For more than 50 years, my mother, Anne Jeanne, kept the letters written to her by my father, Mitch, during World War II before they were married. My mother saved more than 70 letters she received during their 3 years of separation when he served in North Africa, Sicily, and Italy. Lieutenant Mitch Mitchell served in the Army's 54th Medical Battalion, setting up field hospitals and getting ambulances to the front lines. For his service, he was awarded the Bronze Star. Mitch began most of his letters with Dearest AJ. They echoed whispers of love from a bygone era. The handwritten letters and notes were hidden in the closet, stuffed in a shoebox, and locked in her heart. They held the aroma of romance, the sounds of war, and the pain of parting. Anne Jeanne A.J. Mitchell slipped into eternity on March 28, 2002, 3 years after her husband Mitch of 53 years. Of all the earthly belongings left behind by this wife, mother, and grandmother, the most treasured were these letters which tell their story.
Well, my three siblings and I didn't know about those letters until my mom passed away in 2002. You know, they reveal a little known but profound chapter in the lives of our mom and dad. And that's why we've compiled them, all these letters, in a book called Dearest AJ. Terry?
No, Chris, it's such a sweet book. I read it last night and was thinking how different the world was then. You and your siblings didn't know about the letters until after your parents were gone. What were your first thoughts when you read what your dad wrote in those letters?
Well, some of the first thoughts, Terry, is what a family treasure this is that was locked for literally 50 years after the war. And, you know, the love story that we saw, the letters themselves were sort of like the notes to their love song. First of all, for the guys, my brothers Kevin and Kevin and Brian, we didn't know our dad could be so dreamy. Here's a couple of examples. This is from February 22nd, 1944, appropriate on Valentine's Day. He said, "The mail just came in and I received a Valentine. Honey, I was unable to send one, but you are my Valentine with all my heart." Here's another from February 21st, 1945. He says, "Darling, I do love you so. I get a lump in my throat just looking at your picture." And so for the guys anyway in the family, we didn't see he could be so romantic, but they were a treasure, a family treasure. And what they said to us, Terry, is that, you know, even during the deepest part of the war, it was these letters that kept love alive. And as they go, and the absence for them did make the heart grow fonder, and the letters were what made it happen.
Were there themes in the letters as you read them that your mom and dad carried over as they raised their family? Your family's always been really close.
They have been close, and I think you could say it was the epitaph on their grave. They're buried in Cape Cod National Cemetery, right beside each other. On the family, the gravestone says faith, family, and friends. All the way through the letters, you can see that it was their faith in God that kept their hope alive, that they would actually get together. There's one letter. This is on June 26, 1944. "Darling, every day that passes is a day closer to you. Let's hope and pray that God will hasten the end. We'll write tomorrow. All my love, Mitch." And it was their faith in God that kept him alive, you know, through this time. It was also family. Family, as you said, has been very close. And we see that through the letters. They're talking about their moms and dads, sisters and brothers. You know, in our family, we've had a family reunion that's been nearly 40 years, and that was a legacy that our mom and dad brought us. And also, and I would say that this is not just a letter from me. I wrote the book, but it's really a family story from my brothers, Kevin and Brian, my sister Jean, our relatives, our cousin, all those that knew and loved Mitch and AJ. It's really a story we hope that can inspire other people during this time. And finally, friends. Friends are always very important. You see in his letters, there was one particular friend that our dad had called Dr. Finnan, seemed to be quite a character, a very funny guy, even in the midst of war. And friends, close friends, have always been part of the legacy of our mom and dad and even our family. And I would say also, Terry, you know, really these letters are the lost art of letter writing. People don't do that anymore in our social media driven world, but these are the 1940s version of You've Got Mail.
Well, it was just a view of the greatest generation that was really fun to read. And you so creatively took those letters from the time your dad went into the Army and kind of wove in the front of the book how history unfolded during the time that he was in the military and the time that he wrote these letters to your mom. Do you have a favorite?
I have three, if I can.
Yep.
First of all, May 8, 1943. He's on his way to North Africa. He's on a troop transport, and he says this to AJ, arrive safely somewhere in North Africa. When this messed up world settles down, we're still in a messed up world, Terry, I will be able to tell you the fullest details, the episodes of my travels. And through the book, as you've read, you know, you can talk about when he was in North Africa. He was on D-Day, the invasion of Sicily. He served under General George S. Patton. He got malaria in Sicily. He recovered, joined his unit, went up to the Italian campaign. He had a small sort of Saving Private Ryan story, got reunited with his brother Tom. He ended up at the end of the war in Cortina d'Ampezzo, a jet set place. And then he comes back to AJ wondering, what is she going to think when she finally sees him? And then my next favorite, Terry, is November 20th, 1946. It's sort of a bookend of all the letters. They're married now. They get married in 1944. He says this, my darling wife, I thought it would be proper and nice for me to be the sender of the first letter to you in our new home. What memories are running through my mind of the places I used to be and how far away you were when writing to you and how close you are now. I wish so much for you and me, and I hope God will be good to us and protect and bless our home. I desire your happiness so much. So, my darling, I wish you all the best in our new home, your loving husband. And finally, Terry, AJ wrote the last letter in the book. After Mitch, her love for 53 years, had died, she writes this letter, and she says, Dear Chris, I used to wonder what life would be like without you. I know how empty it can be. I think of you every day, all day and into the night. Weren't we lucky to find one another and loved each other so much? I was always happy that you loved me. So those three letters to me sum up Mitch and AJ and their life and their love of God and love of each other.
It's a precious story, a precious picture into their relationship, and interesting to see all of the history that they lived through at that time. The book is called Dearest AJ, and it is available wherever books are sold. Well done, Chris Mitchell. You've honored your parents well.